So guys, welcome back to RBR, and today we get to see Porsche's worst kept secret of the last few years, a car that we've seen running around all over the world in different terrains, what we thought was the Safari 911, now unveiled as the 911 Dakar, named after the Paris to Dakar rally that Porsche won with a 911 that began really the all-wheel drive idea that found its way into every 911 since, but the Dakar takes this idea even further and further in terms of where the car can go. It is a special looking thing with loads of gorgeous details, and I'm going to show you everything that I can today in this first look. It even comes with a rally tribute specification. There are only 2,500 units of these, so it is another limited edition 911 variant for a very lucky few, but it's a really cool car. It's one of the first cars, as I said, in the world that's looking to be a two-door sports car to go off-road. Now, let's explore a little bit. What have Porsche done in order to make the 911 more off-road worthy? Well, first of all, the aim of the game is ground clearance. So the car in its standard base form versus a normal 911 is 5 centimeters higher. But what this car features is 4-corner lift. So a new 4-corner lift system alongside a revised and retuned suspension setup. And these new systems do a number of things. First of all, we get an extra 3 centimeters of ground clearance as soon as you press the button. It actually looks quite cool doing it, as you see it raising and lowering from all 4 corners. Altogether, that gives you a raise of 8 centimeters over the standard 911, which is some good ground clearance. But of course, off-roading, not all about ground clearance, is it? It's also about approach angles, which of course this then improves that much. But like I said, that retuned suspension, not just about slow off-road driving, there's also a focus on rally style driving. So you can use the high setting of the suspension up to 107 miles per hour, which when you're going on, for example, gravel or sand, etc., is pretty damn fast. Okay, and that can be done thanks to the retuned suspension and the lift system that we have in this car. So the car is pretty much ready to get you some lap times around the mountain if you want to as well. Now the car comes optionally specable with the new Pirelli all-terrain plus tires. These are pretty special. They have a 9mm tread depth. It's a chunky pattern with reinforced sidewalls that rest on 2 carcass piles, which means that they're resistant against cuts compared to normal tires. Or you can get optional Pirelli P0 summer or winter tires. Those also come with 2 carcass pile in order to be that much more resistant. And of course, it's a staggered setup here with 1920s, just like you find in all the other 992s, which is nice. Now, in terms of power, quite interesting. The exact same power unit as you find, for example, in my 911 GTS. So we're talking 480 brake horsepower and a 0 to 60, quite surprisingly, of 3.5 seconds. Actually, not all that surprising later when we get onto the weight of this thing. The 8-speed PDK is your only option in terms of gearbox and comes standard. You also get the Porsche dynamic engine mounts and PDCC, so it's pretty well spec'd in terms of its standard form. So Porsche say because of all of that, it can pretty much handle the Nürburgring as well as it can off-roading as well. Of course, this is Porsche, this is exactly what they're going to be aiming for, right? Now, in terms of driving modes, what's interesting is, alongside your normal and sport mode, you also get a rally mode. Now, rally mode, of course, has the car sitting higher, but is optimized and more rear biased for sand and gravel and loose surfaces. So you can imagine this car being super fun to drive in somewhere like Dubai or Morocco, etc., which I'm sure Porsche will have us test at some point in the future. Alongside rally mode, you also have off-road mode, which, as we mentioned earlier, all about slower off-roading. But one thing that's cool is both modes get a special rally launch control mode, which can handle slippage of up to 20% on looser surfaces. Again, this is going to be pretty fascinating to try at some point in the future. Now, design. There's a lot to unpack on these 2 different versions that you can get. And first of all, let's look at the off-roading bits. We've got stainless steel plates on our front, first of all, which you can see quite clearly under our front bumper. You have them on the side as well, and then quite clearly on your rear bumper. These look very different to your standard 911, and of course are here for protection, undercarriage, etc., and on the front, on the sides, when you're doing off-roading. All of that makes sense, and it's really nicely designed. You have these wonderful looking red aluminium lugs used for towing on both the front and the rear, and they look great in red, such an industrial design. Then of course one of the most obvious things is the bonnet, which is straight out of the GT3. This is the carbon fiber reinforced bonnet from the GT3, the exact same one The grille in the nostril is that same design, and you see that grille again in the unique front bumper here in our air intakes. It's the same shape. This is a unique front bumper for the Dakar. It's quite large and it's well protected again with that sheath against rocks and stones, etc. Additionally, we have plastic arches on the side like you find on Porsche 4x4s or something like the Cross Turismo Taycan. These have wider wheel arches and of course the protection that goes along the side. I actually quite like the look of this, particularly on our shade green metallic car here. And then finally, a carbon fiber reinforced plastic wing to mimic that old rally car as well. This is either finished in white in our rally tribute car, or it's protected in black plastic in the standard one. And finally, the 911 Dakar badge on the back, which I love the idea of because it follows the same idea like 911 Carrera, based on a race that Porsche have won. Finally, the roof rack, which is so cool just by itself, okay? Now, this has got a number of things in here which is going to be very useful for off-roading. First of all, we have water and fuel canisters, Porsche designed ones which look amazing. You've got the LED lights which have a 12-volt exposed port on the roof as well, and they're designed beautifully. Again, a real modern interpretation of what roof lights on a 4x4 off-roading vehicle should be like. It's got foldable shovels, you've got the traction pads there, again, fitted in there, designed so beautifully, which are obviously going to help with off-roading, and the Porsche design bag in the back. And finally, you can even get a tent for your 911 Dakar. How cool is that? Imagine going on adventures with this thing. Taking more from GT3 is inside, where you'll find the carbon bucket seats and a rear seat delete, which is an interesting choice for this. I believe it's only available as a two-seater. As you come inside the car, you'll see the Porsche Rough Roads projector on the floor, a new trademark as you see on the side of the rally spec. The 911 Dakar logo is on the side sills and on the front of our dashboard as well. You also have lightweight glass and lightweight battery. Again, all of these ideas coming from the Weissach performing version of the car. The shade here is lovely. This is shade green metallic. It's a new color here for the Dakar, and it's also available inside in terms of the contrast stitching, and I think this looks great. That alongside the wheels, which are very much kind of, I think, fuchsia inspired in the way that you have the shiny rim around the edges. I think that looks great. But the other thing you can get, if you want it, is this rally tribute package. This is finished in gentian blue with a lot of white vinyl wrap for the first time out of a production car from Porsche. You also have the rest of the rally livery on there, and customers can choose a number on the side from 0 to 999 or something. And finally, the wheels are finished in a white look. In my opinion, I think you guys could spec this way better than this, but if you really want the rally version, then it is available to you. Plus it does cost an extra 18k or something on top of the 173,000 that the Dakar costs. Finally, one point about the weight. It's actually only 10 kg heavier than a Carrera 4 GTS, which is pretty damn impressive. It's pretty good going. So guys, that's your first look at the 911 Dakar. I hope you enjoyed that. Next year we will no doubt be driving it as well, which will be super exciting. So if you enjoyed this episode, please do like and subscribe to RBR, and I'll see you guys next time.